Today, I'm excited to welcome Jordan back to the show. Jordan is a millennial from the Bitcoin class of 2017. Love his sweatshirt, and he has a growing channel on X. Welcome back to the Bitcoin Edge, Jordan.
Hey Paula, looks so nice back there in your backyard.
Yeah, I'm in South Africa, so we might have a little bit of a lag, but we can still talk about Bitcoin.
Sounds good. Yeah, we are over $100,000. The last time we talked, it was at like I think it was at like 62,000 dollars. So it's kind of insane. Like our whole, I know you have most of your net worth in it, and then so our life has basically almost doubled in a couple years, which is really rare. It's pretty cool. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, and now it's chopping around 100. It's funny. I've heard so many great predictions. I heard Jack Mallers again said from 250 to a million. I interviewed Brandon Gentili, and that's coming out on Monday. And he said it could go to a million this cycle. I'm still a little bit shell shocked from the last one. And I think if we get to 150, 200, will be great. What do you think?
I think we've already won, to be honest. It's kind of like a rocket that's already made it out of the hardest part. It's like made it out of the atmosphere. And so this thing it will go up for a very long time. I think what's happening now is what they call game theory, where people are realizing the game used to be to accumulate as many dollars as you can every day. Like, how can I solve as many problems when I wake up, and where can I work to get as many dollars? But now you could see the shift. It's like everyone's trying to accumulate sats, which are the sats are the smallest unit of Bitcoin. So it doesn't matter. I mean, we could talk about it being $100,000, but I more price my life in how many Satoshis and how much Bitcoin that I actually have every day. So like it's great that it's at $100,000, but yeah, like that's just pricing it in dollars. I think it's just going to get way more. I mean, just like houses or a rising tide lifts all boats. So this boat goes the highest because it's a real financial instrument. It's like real money. So the game theory is playing out right now. If you don't know what game theory is, I'd look it up. It's the way players make different choices when they see other players making different choices. So if the government's going to do something, then we're going to make our choices, aren't we, Paula? So that's what you're seeing now. But the young people are still playing the old people's games because the old people still want them to play that game, but you could see people like me and you are exiting that game and playing a new game. Yeah, game theory is what I see is happening right now. Microstrategy buying Bitcoins, all these publicly traded companies are now accumulating as much Bitcoin as they can. It's not about dollars. They get dollars every day from their investors and what they're selling on their product. So the theory is to get dollars and turn it into assets. But what's the best asset? The best asset is Bitcoin. So the game is to accumulate Bitcoin, I guess, is the game.
With the US saying that they are going to have a strategic reserve in Bitcoin, that is at the very top of game theory because every other country is going to follow their lead.
So if they wanted to make money, they would just print the dollars, right? You might want to pay attention to this new game. It's literally like a video game in real life that we're playing now because I'm upstairs mining, converting my electricity to acquire Bitcoin. So it's like I'm playing the game. I'm buying the miners. I'm accumulating the Bitcoin instead of the dollars. The dollars are more of a byproduct. As we accumulate more Bitcoin, it seems the dollars are just a byproduct because dollars don't really mean much anymore. They come out of the sky. You can go knock on someone's door and be like, "Hey, I'm having a hard time. Can I just get like $5?" Chances are pretty decent. You might get something. If you try to knock on someone's door and be like, "Hey, like, can I get some like Bitcoin or so, or like it's a lot harder to get these assets." So like money is just flowing out of the sky. Yeah, the game is changing clearly. If you want to get ahead of the game, you got to make the decision now before it has the beautiful iPhone interface. And now I understand the game. You want to start the game when it's like at the text base, like DOS. That's when you want to start the game. The base layer, see how the game works. Base layer is good. Now let's build an interface for that beautiful layer. So I think the government has found the game. I don't think they want to tell everyone what it will mean, but I think Trump understands, and the people around him clearly understand what's going on. RFK Jr. clearly understands the game.
And Eric Trump also seems to understand the game a little better than
Yes,
most. He did a good speech.
yes.
I wonder if the government prints money to buy Bitcoin, that's just inflating everything, right?
If they print money to buy Bitcoin, you might as well just put the price of Bitcoin at $1 million now. It's like they have an unlimited money printer, so then if they can just keep buying something, then that doesn't make any So you really have to unlearn what you've already been taught for a long time, and that comes with the ability to change your opinion on something. I know you've been like if people has been a sports fan for the Miami Heat for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and then all of a sudden there's a new Miami team, with a different logo and everything. You kind of and if the other team is sucking your energy or you're paying season tickets and they're losing and that there's the stadium's empty, you might want to switch teams because there's new information available. So Paul, it's crazy. We're so early because when I watch the news, everyone still doesn't understand it. They have no ability to change their mind and be like, okay, I was wrong for the past couple of years. Let me do some work here. Let me study this and figure out what this thing is because it's $100,000 now. But what is it really? Like, am I missing something? Are all these people that are obsessed with it? Am I missing something? So the ability to like self-evaluate is really important just in life in general. And if you want to make money, that's super important. So yeah, the ability to change your mind with new data is presented is a trait that a lot of really good investors have and a lot of good just humans, I think, in general. Because if you're stuck in your ways, it's never good. Life is always changing and evolving, and you got to keep learning. You got to keep learning.
Well, that sounds like a lesson that we learn as we go deeper down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. Do you think some or many millennials are struggling with that? Millennials are probably a little bit more likely to be able to change their mind than, people in my generation, but you're still seeing them struggle a little bit?
Yeah, I work with I work in a sports technology company. We do the yellow first down line of football. We do virtual scoreboards. So it's basically data creation with graphics. And it's a lot of young people coming in because they like sports and we don't pay a bunch of money. So it's kind of an entry level position. And a lot of, these kids think they deserve $70,000 coming out of college right away because I did a degree or whatever. But it's just weird, this attitude that these kids have. They think they should be rich now. And there's no, they don't think they should put in any work or time for anything. I mean, I was studying Bitcoin for 8 years, so I think the fact that it's $100,000 and how wealthy I'm getting, I mean, we put in the time and energy for it. So that's just like anything else in life. If you go to the gym every day and study the gym and study your body, you're gonna see the results. These young kids, their phones have got them. Their phones are raising them, and so the media is pushing out what they want, raising our kids, taking the parents out of the house. The phone is there plugged in. It'll be plugged in at 100% charging, and the feed will never end. The TikTok feed will never, they'll just keep going. But most of that information it's noise and garbage. It's not important. It's sports, trades, and sports that won't, it's cool, but you won't gain anything for yourself if you pay too much attention to that stuff. A lot of it is Americanized distraction. They have football on Sunday, I think, for a reason. We're gearing up for the stock market. Everyone's getting ready to work, and everyone's sitting on the couch getting drunk and fat. And they're selling you all these commercials. I think I mean, I loved watching football. As I've gotten older, I realized I didn't love it as much. I kind of did it for the camaraderie with my friends more than I actually loved watching football and sports itself. And just watching that environment, you can tell it's just like a thing to do to just pass time. But if that you can pass time when you want, if you want to do that on Sunday, or you can realize under the hood, the government's probably doing something, gearing up for Monday, and they just got this whole football. It's, I mean, they don't do it on purpose. Football's great. It helps everyone's lives, but it's also become a gigantic Americanized distraction. So if a lot of the kids are just very distracted and there's a lot of noise on the phone, there's a lot of people texting you, friends, opinions, and there's not enough truth and there's not enough people that have done the work that are allowed to have their opinion like us. So if you want to follow me on X, follow me on X because I we've done the work, Paula. And I only have 1.2 thousand followers. And most of these accounts on TikTok with hundreds of thousands and 1 million followers, they're pumping this garbage information out to buy XRP and then crypto and but that's how you got to start somewhere. All those people are making money for themselves, TikTokers. So that's their goal. Smart. Game theory says they should do that, which means game theory says you should probably not watch their content. You should do think for yourself. So really just think for yourself. And when you come out of college now, you got to understand that it's life is not life is short, but it's also really long. And you have to put in work in this life or else God won't really reward you. I guess I've gotten a little bit religious with Bitcoin. It's really made me think just about being humble and how you really think you're in control. Well, God, let me tell you, God will come and change that plan for you real fast. And so when we have something as consistent as Bitcoin, where we know the rules, we know how many coins are being presented and everything, and we know how decentralized it is, that's where I want to be. I want to play that game.
And I really liked your message on X, because what you are saying, especially to millennials, is that even if you're not making figure salary yet, there are other ways, and Bitcoin is one of them, to save your money in Bitcoin. Keep learning, keep following people who are talking the truth. Don't follow the general media, because that's going down the wrong rabbit hole.
The wrong
is
rabbit
is
hole.
that, yeah, so you have a desire to really help people who are struggling a little bit at this
Yeah,
time.
I've definitely started organically feeling that because I guess when I grew up in school and going to college, I wasn't very good and I didn't have the answers to the homework or to the tests. And I was always going to school trying to be like, hey man, can I see your homework? Like, how do you do? Like, I don't really get this. Like, I wasn't very good in school. I didn't know the goal was to learn. I thought it was just to get an A and then we got to get a college and then we got to get a job. I didn't understand we're there to learn. And so now that I kind of have what I think are the financial answers or the life answers, I like to really like help people out and tell them like, hey, this game you're playing, I don't think it's working for you. There's this other game that you could play, and it works great. It works with your time for you. It puts the wind back in your sail. So yeah, I've definitely gotten a passion for helping people a lot. Just because when people talk, they tell you a lot when they talk with their mannerisms and the words they say and the things they stress about or tell you about. It's a lot simpler. It's so simple, it's complex, Do the work, do the 1% every day, and you'll be rewarded. But if you don't do the work and you listen to the news and you listen to CNN, you'll be miserable and you won't be rewarded. So that game is clearly it's run by people that don't really care about you. So you got to do the work yourself, really. That's the only way. Young people just have to take time and realize I'm going to be in this job making 40K for a little bit because my parents did the same thing. They put in their time, you put in your time, and then that's how life is. No one gets an easy, there's no shortcuts. You can try, you can see the shortcuts that people take on the internet. It's very rare, and life doesn't work like that. That's more internet, that's TikTok culture. That's I can get this tomorrow. I can get this now. Uh, you gotta work, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Like you have to like put in time. Like it took me a while to find Bitcoin, to find stocks, to understand all these things. So it's you gotta do it, or else you don't deserve to live on the beach. You don't deserve to have the beach house. You don't, like all these kids think they deserve that. You don't deserve it. You don't. It's not a right to have a beach house, you know. If it requires the job of someone else, then it's not a constitutional right. You got to do everything for yourself and learn. As selfish as it sounds, you have to, or else who's going to do it for you?
Yeah, I guess some people are lucky and get given these things. I've thought about this a lot too, how we do have a bit of an entitlement issue in the US. And it's all very well, but as exactly what you said, I realize I have to take care of myself. And even if I was given everything, I don't think I'd appreciate it. So I really have enjoyed learning to do this for myself, learning to invest, and Bitcoin is at the top of that. You mentioned that you do analysis on proxies. Tell us how that works into your investment plan.
Yeah, a proxy or as like a Bitcoin proxy is something that's just related to Bitcoin. Like a Bitcoin mining stock is a Bitcoin proxy because it kind of if Bitcoin goes up, usually the miners will go up depending. So I like to look into Bitcoin is one layer, but underneath that humongous layer are all these different markets between people selling miners, people selling the chips for the miners, the miners renting out buildings. There's just like a humongous accumulation and market underneath what people just call Bitcoin. So if you look underneath the hood, there's plenty of stocks. There's plenty of other things underneath it than just oh, should I just buy Bitcoin today and then that's it? Like um, there's a lot of other things in the stock market. If you just don't want to buy Bitcoin, you can gamble on other things. But those are more gambling, and I like to that's just fun for me. Some people play fantasy football, and other people do Bitcoin proxies. So that I do Bitcoin proxies. Um, but if you want to check me out, I do think Bitcoin miners will be profitable. I think AI data centers will be right next to Bitcoin miners in their facilities because all they do is suck power and electricity. So really what all these companies are doing now is just sucking massive amounts of power and electricity. It's security for their data, it's security for their product. Energy and electricity is security and it's money. So the more power and electricity you're holding and you control, the more power you have in this corporate world because Google, Tesla, all the big companies, they need data centers. They need electricity, basically. Like they only have a couple of headquarters. Well, my iCloud is getting so big, it's like they need more of these buildings, which are basically like data miners, They control all of your pictures and everything. So Bitcoin is the decentralized data, financial data, AI and Google are is the centralized data, financial data with all of your personal information in it, just sucking down electricity, really. So the Bitcoin proxies, I think, are very interesting. Long term, I think they'll be great if anyone wants to just accumulate those and hold long term because I think as Bitcoin miners come into people like us, where we can mine at home, it makes the big miners unprofitable, and I think there'll be more AI, there'll be more data center, and the money will be decentralized into people like us.
Do you still think it's important to have Bitcoin in self custody, though? Because Bitcoin is a whole nother protocol, right? We've got the US dollar and other
Yeah,
currencies on one side, but Bitcoin is a whole nother protocol that, like you
especially if
mentioned,
you're,
21
I'm
million.
sorry, especially if you're not in America. If you're in a country where you might have some drones coming over your house and you might have to like take a run for it to somewhere else, you really can't be picking up a bunch of stuff and running away. Americanized people Americans just think, why would you ever need to just pick up and run? Well, you don't know how life works because a lot of people just want to wake up and have food and shelter and a roof over their head without explosions. So a lot of people need to pick up what they have and just run. And the easiest way to do that is with BTC and not physical assets. So yeah, cold storage isn't very important, but that's also it's down the road. Once you've done the Bitcoin work, then you can put your Bitcoin in cold storage. It's so confusing to try to explain that to people. It's like putting gold bars in your own room instead of having the gold in Charles Schwab, I guess.
If you were going to tell somebody about Bitcoin, where would you start? Would you start with inflation? Would you start with the money? Would you start with federal banks?
I would just ask them, how are you doing financially? Are you okay? And if they say, I'm kind of like stretched thin, then that's the atypical answer that you probably are in the wrong game. You're playing the wrong game. You're stretching, you're you're a dollar miner instead of a Bitcoin miner, and you need to be mining real money. It's so hard. The elevator speech for Bitcoin is so hard because I can go on so many rants. I don't. It's so tough. It's so tough. I guess that's what makes a good teacher is being able to say these things in very short, easy ways. So I would just ask them, well, you know how the dollar works and inflation works. Are you doing okay from that? And if they're like, yeah, fine, then I'll be like, all right, great, nothing wrong then. But if they need help, Bitcoin will be there, and everyone gets Bitcoin at the price that they deserve because eventually it's like, come to Papa, come to Daddy. Everyone, you have to. What the government's done. There's no choice but to find financial shelter.
Yeah, I love that. What you're saying is a little bit meet people where they are. If they
Right.
understand that inflation's a problem, you start there. And some people don't even understand that because
They
they,
don't even think there's a problem. They think it's normal. They think like I'm struggling because I that's just how life is. Like no, if you've worked for 20 years at and made above 60K for 10, 20 years, you should be able to have a very, very nice life. Not a beach house, but you should be able to have a house with some good food and good furniture. But a lot of the people that have worked for a long time, they still can't, they're like stretched thin, they still can't do the regular basic stuff. So the game they're playing isn't working. So yeah, it's if the game you're playing is working for you, keep playing it.
did you ever invest in altcoins or do
Yeah,
you invest
that's
in
also
altcoins?
that's my fantasy football and sports gambling itch. But I think a lot of those are promising and you can make good money with them. But again, it's really like playing fantasy football. Like I could try to convince you that this quarterback is the number one pick and you should pick him and he'll get you the most points. But I just know that how Bitcoin works, and I just know how the NFL works. You know that there will be a championship and there will be a season, but I don't know who will win. So if you want to play that game, you play that game. I like doing analysis on it. You could follow me on X, and because I'm good at patterns, I play music, and I'm good at finding patterns in charts and in life and people, and so I found a pattern in Bitcoin. I found a pattern in inflation, and I found a pattern just with watching the past 10 years go by with iPhones and humans and how they interact and how we interface with the world. We interface totally differently with the world than how we did with phones.
Yeah, patterns are fascinating. So, what do you see with the pattern for Bitcoin in 2025?
I see 2025 being a one of those exponential bull runs like we've had in 2020 and 2016, which is just an effect from the halving supply being cut in half in the code. So I think we're going to see a very explosive 2025, which what happens is it brings the fear, the FOMO. It brings all the people going, wait, what is this thing? Maybe I was wrong about it, which is the people that are smart and go, oh, maybe I should change my mind, will change their mind, which brings more people to Bitcoin, and the cycle continues. You know, we will probably go up to. My guess is that like we hit like $330,000. It's just like a number that I see colors with in my brain that sounds good. There's nothing. I'm not basing that off anything. It's kind of weird to think that there'll ever be a huge, huge drop again with the amount of game theory that's going on, with the amount of accumulation, with the amount of people being like, huh, I need to play this game now, not that game. So this cycle could be way different. It could be the exact same, but I'm gonna be doing the exact same thing that I've been doing, which is just accumulating as much as possible and not trying to time it. So you can try to time it all you want. You're not gonna get it. I promise you. I promise you won't do it.
But it's fun. It would be fun to have everybody take a guess and just see who gets the
Yeah.
closest. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah. And do you think so? You think there's a possibility that it might not come below 100K again?
I think this is the last time I don't want to say that. I was gonna say this is the last time we see it under $100,000, but uh, I mean, there could be black swan events or any COVID event where a big liquidation, people need to liquidate and then buy up. But it's just like any other market. There's people that need to sell, there's people that need to buy, there's people that need to sell a lot now. So this market goes up long term exponentially because it's a free market run by nature. There's no government being like, stop, pause. This is nature at work. So um, $101,471 is what Bitcoin is right now. So pretty insane that you can just sell a little, just chip off a little bit if you need some money. You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. It's not how that works. It sounds so expensive, but it's really not that expensive. I think $101,000 for a Bitcoin is pretty cheap. 0.1 million? I think that's pretty cheap, right?
I think you're right, based on the fact there's only 21 million. And yeah, I heard Jeff Booth say in an interview this week that it's the first time we have ever seen the true free market. Bitcoin is the only true free market we've ever seen.
Yep,
And that's
yep.
pretty cool. And we're
And free
slowly
markets,
transitioning over, right?
yeah. Nature is violent and gross and sometimes beautiful, but markets are just resemble nature, really. When you go out into the jungle, what you see is a market. The lions are at the top of the market because they have what they have and they eat the smaller market people. So the market is just tells you truth. It tells you what people are really buying, what people are really doing, especially when it runs 24/7, 365, and there's no guy with a suit pausing the stock or closing it at 4 o'clock. Just a way more fair game.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think about MicroStrategy getting into the NASDAQ 100?
Oh man, that's so cool. Good. All they've done, it's so simple, Paula. All Saylor has done is accumulate Bitcoin for the past 4 years. He hasn't built rockets like Elon. He hasn't done anything too crazy. He has a business that makes money, but it's not going to make 10% more every year. And so Saylor knows that. And so he's working smarter. He's not working harder. He's not going to push his employees to sell more product. How many more relationships can we develop? No, no, no. How can we work smarter? Let's use our balance sheet to leverage our balance sheet. And all of a sudden they plug into a gigantic, it's basically like the sun. It's like a nuclear reactor Bitcoin. You plug into it, it's volatile it's very strong, but MicroStrategy kind of buffers the volatility via options, via them selling, via more buying, via the price fluctuating. So you plug into this nuclear reactor and you have other proxies that are kind of buffered around it. It's a beautiful thing. So if you plug into the sun, just how everything grows off the sun, if everything pretty much will grow off Bitcoin, it's a free open market. The game is here, Paula.
It is very interesting. Do you think though one company having so much Bitcoin is a little bit centralizing it?
Um, one company having all the Bitcoin. Trying to think in terms of dollars, like wouldn't you say that like Apple and Tesla and Amazon have all the dollars right now? So they kind of make the decisions, they kind of have the power. So MicroStrategy has the Bitcoin. And so what they have is they have the power. They have all the investors now. They have all the volatility. They have all the options there in the Nasdaq 100. So all they did was plug into a gigantic financial nuclear reactor. So I think what he did is the most genius economic like financial thing anyone's done in the past 100 years. It's kind of insane. They're gonna teach classes off what Michael Saylor's done. I mean, the guy is just he just buys. Like it was at you could see there's a website, sailortracker.com, I think, and you could track his buys. He was buying at like 19,000, 16,000, 18,000, 19,000, 17, 22, 23, 20, 30. It's like clearly the game is just to accumulate this money. And so he saw that, and now he has all this digital energy that people are plugging into because he has the volatility now, and people want the volatility. They just want hope, really. We don't want. It's not enough now to invest in Apple. They're just going to keep squeezing us for profits and higher their Apple TV bill, and it's how does it keep working? It's not sustainable. So MicroStrategy is setting the standard for these corporations. It's clear. There's other companies that aren't as popular that are accumulating the Bitcoin, and if you check their graphs, they're thriving. So Microsoft I saw voted against having Bitcoin on their balance sheet recently. It was in a proposal. So Paula, the game is changing. Like it's being proposed on, but still nah. $100,000, nah, 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 nah. So we're still so like people still don't understand what this thing is. So Microsoft is voting on it. Tesla already owns it. I think Amazon has so much cash that it's just melting beneath them that they're looking at MicroStrategy going, damn. So how much longer can Jeff Bezos watch Michael Saylor just rip his stock price up is going to be interesting. How much ego does everyone have where they can just be like, no, I'm gonna keep playing my game, you know? So we'll find out. It's just nature and markets at work. We'll find out who's really ready to change their decision and change their mind about new data and new stuff.
And it's back to the game
MicroStrategy.
theory, right? Back to
MicroStrategy is so smart though. I mean, so simple. If you
yeah,
would just own MicroStrategy for the past 4 years, you would, you know,
yeah. Uh, exactly. You would have done very well in fiat terms. You would have done very well,
in
and you
fiat
could
terms.
take
Yeah.
some profits and put them into Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
I was just thinking the one thing, if certain entities own a lot of Bitcoin, it doesn't matter because Bitcoin is run by the nodes, right? So nobody can actually change Bitcoin. The
Yeah,
nodes vote for
owning
it.
it. Owning it doesn't make you really powerful in the sense of can I change it? It makes you powerful in the sense of like so they could change the price here if they wanted to, but why would Saylor want to sell his Bitcoin? What is he going to go into? If he sells his Bitcoin, I sell my MicroStrategy because I don't want to own a MicroStrategy without Bitcoin. Um, I want them plugged into the financial nuclear reactor, kind of like how my life is plugged into that. There's no incentive to sell any Bitcoin for anyone really, unless it's an emergency. You know, I mean, that's what it's for. If you need to sell it on a Sunday morning, you can do it, but there's no incentive there. It's like, why would you sell your house if you love it and you love walking out onto your patio? Why am I selling it? Am I all in on my house? Am I all in on my house because I love it? You know, like I'm all, I mean, I could sell it. I guess I could change it, but I mean, am I all in on it? Yeah, I guess. Are you all in on the car you're driving to work every day? What if it crashes? Are you all in on your job? What if your CEO dies? Are you all in on it? So yeah, I'm all in on Bitcoin basically. I mean, it's not, yeah, it's like water. It's nothing's gonna happen to it.
You're all in on Bitcoin because you've done the work and you continue to do the work and learn. What do you think that younger people, what's affecting younger people's attitudes towards Bitcoin besides the things you've already mentioned?
Yeah, the people they follow, the celebrities, they think life is so easy. They think, because I'm a white Jewish guy, life was easy for me, but I wasn't good at school. I was a tiny little kid. I loved basketball. I was always the smallest guy on the basketball court. I wasn't picked a lot. I was passive aggressively bullied. Everyone goes through whether you're born with one parent, no parent, two parents. Everyone has their own trauma in different ways. Life isn't easy. Life is fucking hard, Paula. Sorry to curse, but it's hard as shit. So if you got to put into work for yourself, if you want to like, if you want to be happy, nothing's. You can't play the victim. I think there's a lot of victim mentality. I guess there's a lot of just, but I'm this and I'm this. But no, you're human and we all have emotions and we all get sad and we all are happy and we all sometimes cry and we all get angry. So can you manage all of that? Like it's life's hard as it's so hard. It's not easy at all.
I hear you, Jordan. I played the victim for a while too. And what I'm hearing from your story is you rose above it all. You found what you're good at, and then you got really good at Bitcoin, at investing, at other things, and you're doing what you love. And yeah, I think it's a really good example for everybody.
Everyone has their own road. I've been always good at channeling my energy into one thing. Like if you show me a task or a sport or just give me like, a couple days on it, I can get really good at it if it's like a if it's something physical, if it's something that's in my realm, I can really channel my energy and really focus and be like, okay, I can figure this out. Like I get this. So, um, but everyone's different and everyone takes their own journey how they want to learn something. So, you get Bitcoin at the price that you deserve, you get the house you deserve, you get whatever, everything. God gives you what you put in. And if you play the victim, you're going to be the victim for a long time. Um, that's, it's really just life, really. Very similar to life.
Proof of work, right? Proof of work, do the work.
Uh, Yeah, do the work, and it's a little bit of luck too. Like, I got everyone gets lucky, but you have to put yourself in the position to be lucky. If I didn't find Bitcoin and put myself in the and find other stocks to, it's you just got to put yourself in the position somehow. If you sit in your bed and you just go and just scroll Instagram, you're not gonna find much out of that. You gotta like really dig deep and find out who you really are as a person and what do you really like to do when you wake up? What really makes you tick? What really makes you happy?
Yeah, because life is short to be doing things that don't make you happy. Even if you do
Life
have to
is
work in
short.
a job for a little while you find something that really makes you happy, and learn Bitcoin in the meantime because that's going to put you ahead.
Just learn. Bitcoin is just it really is like a buzzword that people hate, but learn how the world works because the world revolves mainly around money and sex and weird things. So if you figure out why the world runs the way it runs, it's a lot easier to make your decisions and make your choices off again game theory. If that's how that works, then maybe I should do this. Yeah, it's you have to observe and you can't just be staring at your phone and think that that's how the world works. My phone is how the world works because the phone is such a simplified version of all of that. It's so complex and they try to shove it into like a 60-minute video. It's impossible. If you try to shove religion into a 60-minute, 60-second video, possible. You try to explain life to someone in 60 seconds, you really gotta sit down and just like be like, what is this? What is this life? What do I want out of it?
That's a good question. You know, one of my favorite questions for guests is how has Bitcoin changed you? So you might have already answered that, but how has Bitcoin changed you in the last year?
In the last year, I think it's taught me that money's not everything at all. Money's 98.9% of it, but you really got to also just be kind and thoughtful and just, if someone's not ready for something or they don't want to hear your Bitcoin, even though you're trying to help them, you just, it's okay. It's okay to just be free and just let people be and just be as kind as possible and just put out as much love as possible as you can. And sometimes love comes in different forms. Sometimes it's angry, and sometimes it's fighting, and sometimes it's hugging. So it's just Bitcoin's changed me in so many ways. It's given me so much more time to think about what I really want to do and who I want to be instead of being stretched thin in a cubicle. So it's changed me a lot. I mean, our net worths have almost doubled in the past year. And if someone could say that, they'd be like, "Wow, I can relax now. I can breathe and be like, okay, what do I want to do today? I don't have to go to the office and freaking do that thing that I have to do, you know? But you put in the time. It's like a Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull, the tighter it gets. So you just gotta relax, dance in the rain, and then it'll let you go.
Yeah, you make so many good points there. I would like to challenge you on the
Okay.
98.8%.
What's the number? What's the number?
I would say closer to 70 because I agree. When you get that freedom to do whatever you want, it is a huge freedom. But I do know very well people who have had millions and millions and no desire to live. I know somebody right now who has millions and millions and doesn't want to live. So Tony Robbins always says success without fulfillment is failure. So it's success with fulfillment, right? We need people, we need something we believe in, and we need the money to do what we want to do.
Yeah. I mean, you can get the $190,000 salary job, but I guarantee you're going to be pretty pissed off when you wake up every day. Pick your poison wisely, I guess. And I like that, Paula. So it's more of a 70% for you.
Well, because the other part is health, family, people. Because without that connection with people, if I was just doing this all for myself, what am I going to travel the world? And it would be kind of fun, but it's I think there's that other part too, and I'm not sure the number, but yeah, between 70 and 90.
My number was way too high. I agree. Um, but I guess that's why I'm the crazy Bitcoin nerd I am. But I think you're right. I can tone it down a little bit, and I bring that number down to like 75. I agree. Money gives you the ability to do stuff, but then with that stuff, it's got to be some sort of connection, right? And some sort of connection with other humans somehow. So you can't just have Bitcoin and just do nothing in a cave, right? I
And
mean,
I
you
know you
can, but
love
I don't.
music. You love music
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Music's really important. It's free. It's free first of all. As long as you have the instrument, you can play it whenever you want, and it doesn't cost electricity. You don't have to plug it in. You don't need an outlet. You don't need Wi-Fi. You really just need air in your lungs and maybe a couple fingers. So yeah, the ability to just have money but also stay humble, I'm learning is a superpower in itself to be able to just like have the power you have with money and use it for good and just stay the person you were before the money.
Well, thank you, Jordan. Thanks so much for joining me today.
That was a good talk, Paul.